Welcome back, guys, to the Silverback Show. We were talking about technology, and I was showing you my manual typewriter, and just for all of us to think in primate terminology and also in evolutionary historical terminology. What we have right now is the earliest discoveries of some form of written communication dating to about 30,000 years ago. And Harari defines that time period as the cognitive revolution. So from the cognitive revolution about 30,000 years ago, somewhere between 30 and 70,000, but 30,000 years is one of the oldest artifacts that we have. It's a pictograph. So if you can imagine carving pictures to tell a story, and then if you fast forward about 2.5 decades, we have somewhere around 3000 BC written documents. And then fast forward to around the 1500s and the printing press, which somewhere in the mid 1400s to late 1400s was being perfected and starting to be used. But by 1500, millions of documents had been printed. So 1500s, which let's say that's 500 years ago plus a little bit. The printing press. So from 30,000 years ago, in terms of language that we know of, to 3,000 years ago to written documents, to 500 years ago, the printing press, and then somewhere in the mid 1600s to late somewhere in the mid 1800s to late 1800s, we have our first typewriter. So we went from 30,000 years ago in man carving pictographs in stone to tell a story to 5,000 years ago to a written story, to 500 years ago the printing press, to 150 years ago the printing press that sent out from a central source to individuals being able to type on a manual typewriter. And that last innovation lasted about 100 years. So from let's say the 1887 to 1987, the typewriter was in existence. People born after 1986 may not have any knowledge of a typewriter. My niece, I know, didn't even know what a typewriter was. My son has a 1.5-year-old, so my grandson will never have any clue as to what a typewriter was unless he's just doing a historical report for his school. And we know the rest. We know the rest of the story. From the 1980s until now, 2019, the size of computers and the speed of computers and I'm now holding a device, and the amount of operations that are going on inside these things, let alone just with written word communication. And if you look at that trajectory, some people can say it's an amazing accomplishment, and it certainly is amazing, no doubt about it. A lot of things are amazing, but not necessarily great. The question that Harari brings up in Sapiens and in Homo Deus, and the question that the Silverback Show is bringing up in my own specific trajectory is, where do we want to go from here? And we don't know. So hats off to Harari for becoming so well known in such a fast time, and having as his service to humanity as because I really do believe that that's his mission in life, to present to us the questions. And part of my mission in life is not only to present the questions, but to help myself, my children, my grandchildren, their children, and several generations into the future, be able to understand how to live a wholesome life with contentment and a lot of family activity. So the questions that Harari is bringing up is, where is the technology going? And because it's moving so fast, who's actually deciding whether or not the technology, we're going to find out in 10 years from now, is damaging to us? This is the trouble with technology getting beyond our ability to control things. And that's where we're at right now. And that's why there's so much anxiety. That's why there's so much angst. That's one of the reasons why. The speed at which things are moving is greater than our evolutionary brain is, and our evolutionary hardwired emotional central nervous system is capable of keeping up with, if you look at it that way, from that standpoint. That's why whenever we go to the desert, whenever we go to the mountains, whenever we go to the seashore, we have this immediate like, wow, I can breathe again. I can feel my body again. I can feel inside here again. Whereas here, the strictly cognitive, that's all technology can do, is strictly cognitive. Totally, you can never have a heart center to technology. You can never have the essence of spirit or soul from technology. So we're out of balance up here. We're out of balance with the cognitive, and our brains, you see the evolutionary trajectory. If you go back 30,000 years and you move from 30,000 years to 3,000 years ago or 5,000 years ago, from the first inscriptions of storytelling to the first written story through letter writing and language, to the first printing press, to the first typewriter, to the first computer. Now it's going so fast, and there's just no way we can evolve to keep up with it. So, Harari's speculations about Homo Deus replacing Homo sapiens, to me, is part of our untangling insanity, meaning that we better start untangling our insanity. We better start understanding that what we have created is now controlling us to the point that we're going insane at a very rapid rate. Okay, just think about that. Don't panic. Go out to nature, breathe, start thinking about how you need to balance more everything here, and put your faith in the natural world, because that is our salvation. I don't mean to take away your God experience, but if you're a believer in God, then you understand that God created the heavens and the earth. And he created the heavens and earth before he created us. And he created us in the Garden of Paradise, not the Garden of Technology. Just reflect on that. I've got some stuff to do, and I'll respond to you guys' questions in my next video. Okay, bye.